What is up, y'all? It has been a while since I've been on here because if you didn't know, my wife and I just had our first daughter. Baby Cameron was born back in October. And this video is really about what life has been like in the first 6 weeks of being a dad for the first time and being a business owner. So good to be back. Hopefully, y'all enjoy this kind of content. First off, birth is just absolutely crazy. It is insane what a woman's body goes through and how they tolerate it. And guys would never be able to do that with how we respond to having a cold. So that was insane. Baby and mom are doing great. We've been adapting, and one of the things that's really funny is we've actually been sleeping fairly well. But one of the things that they do not prepare you for is how insanely loud newborns are when they sleep. Like, she legit sounds like a dinosaur, and it's worse like in the morning, like at that closer to that like actual waking up. But there's been some legit nights where I'm like, I have to get out of this room and I may need to go down to the couch. But that was just a little funny story to kind of tell you guys about my preparation. So I want to update y'all with just like kind of what we did in the business and how things have been. Obviously, entering into October, excuse me, entering into October, we kind of went dark. We kind of went into like maintenance mode. I set up the business. I did another video about how I did away with sales calls and how I set up the business to be really efficient in this time frame. And so October we went dark, we went into maintenance mode, we did no enrollment, we did not sign up any new clients, and that was very intentional. And I know a lot of people out there might scoff at that like, if your business can't run without you, you don't have a business. I just don't believe that. My business is set up very intentionally to operate this way, and that is very much by choice. From a content perspective, I actually invested a lot of time on the front end and scheduled out, 4 weeks of content, 5 weeks of content, so that even once the baby was here, I didn't have to be on my phone posting and creating. I really wanted to make sure that all that was done and the content machine kind of kept rolling. And I have a pretty good back-end content strategy where, any interview that I do kind of gets clipped up, and then I can use those posts. And I have a big bank of those, and maybe you've been paying attention, but some of those get reposted, right? Like, good content can be reposted and repurposed. And then in that downtime, we had a lot of like back-end projects that, some members of my team were kind of working on, transitioning our website, our CRM, and getting ready to kind of make a move over to a different platform and just streamline everything in the business, make it run more efficiently for both myself and our clients. One of the things that became really apparent to me in this journey, in this season, is exactly that like, I think business has seasons. And I think one of the things that is really hard for us to do as entrepreneurs is accept that, right? We have kind of been conditioned to think that like, if you aren't growing, you're dying, rather than like, what is this season of business meant for me? So for me, this was a season of foundation for the future. This is a season of slowing down. October was intentionally slow. So I had taken off a few weeks, like 2 to 3 full weeks, and then I kind of got back into work. Our baby came a little bit late, so that was really hard to schedule. As far as you're an entrepreneur, like, you want to clear your schedule, you want to take off for that due date, but she didn't come until that next week. And so that was kind of cool. I got to spend some time with my wife, in those last phases of pregnancy, and the last time that it would just be her and I. And then when I went back to work, it was very gradual. I went back like 1 to 2 hours a day. Some days I didn't have anything on my calendar, and that was great. And I just kind of ramped up, 2 to 3 hours a day. And now, like, a busy day with how the business is set up for me is probably about 4 hours in a day is a busy day. So I'm really trying to keep, my working time to that, because this is really just something that's always been important to me. And I share that with you guys because I think when you adopt the virtual nature of business, right? My business is fully online for the most part. When you adopt the virtual nature of business, you get so much freedom because I am just not tied to any sort of schedule aside from a client call here and there. And so I want to make sure that for myself that I'm focusing on efficiency, that I'm focusing on how do I construct the business where it has a lot of upside, where I can be super efficient in the time that I am working, but I don't have to be married to a schedule. And honestly, getting sales calls off my calendar was huge. This has always been something that I've looked for in business. So this is exactly what we teach in the blended practice model. This is exactly how I operated when I was a physical therapist practicing in, a gym. I had an in-person offer that tied me to a schedule, and then I had a virtual offer that allowed me to generate revenue without being tied to the schedule. Like, this is a key component in my life that I search for, which is that efficiency and making sure that I have a structure in my business that allows me to be more free and more flexible. One of the things that I found that is just super important in this journey is being grounded, right? Like, I really want to make sure that I'm being grounded in this journey. And I find that whether this is true for whether I'm a dad or whether I'm just a business owner, but there's a few things that I need to make sure I can do. I need to make sure that I can get out on a morning walk. So one of the things that I'm very grateful for is my wife is an excellent partner, and we have a really good team and really good system with our baby. And so, in the mornings, she kind of takes over with the baby. Once she's up, if I get up early, I take the baby out and, let her sleep in a little bit. And then I take the dog for a nice long walk. And that is really important to keep me grounded. Getting in like 3 workouts per week has been huge for me. In the early weeks, weeks 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, those workouts were just in the backyard. I have a couple kettlebells and just get out there and move for 30, 40 minutes. But that was like really important for me, even if I was feeling tired. And I also think we kind of have an easy baby who allows us to get some decent sleep. And then just getting out and getting sunlight in the middle of the day, whether that's a walk with my wife and my daughter, whether that's another quick walk with the dog, whether that is a workout outside. But I share that with you guys because I think it's really important to figure out what keeps you grounded in business, what keeps you grounded in life. The things that I notice is when I'm getting the most stressed, typically I'm not doing those things anymore, right? Oh, lost an AirPod. Typically I'm not doing those things anymore, and I'm kind of falling out of my routine. And I am just a huge routine guy, but also somebody who craves flexibility, and I think really just craves freedom. One thing I'll share is I didn't realize what I really needed in my life until probably like late 2021, and I've shared the story a few times, but I got fired from a role that I thought I was going to be in forever. And initially in that role, I had a lot of freedom and a lot of flexibility. And as the company grew, into multi-millions per year, and I was in charge of operations, more and more control was being taken away from me personally, like of what my day-to-day was going to look like. And so when I got that back, I really realized that was the missing piece for me. Like, that was something that I was truly craving. I need that flexibility and I need that freedom. So as we went through and got through October and entered into November, I really did not know what November was going to look like. I didn't know if it would be a slow month. I didn't know if it would be a busy month. And November was pretty busy. We sent out a lot of invitation documents to people. We ended up signing up 4 new clients. We ended up having a really good month. And that was pretty cool because by the middle of the month, I was already back to, pre-baby revenue levels. And so obviously with the month going on through the end, we surpassed that. And part of it has really been due to kind of this open close cycle that we're doing. We can really control when clients are coming into our world. And we can kind of make sure that we're bringing in the right clients, because the right clients will wait, right? Rather than somebody who's just looking for whatever's available. We're just not for you if that's the case. We want to make sure that it's full alignment and that you're 100% in on us, and we want to be 100% in on you. But something crazy kind of happened. Once my daughter got here, I talk a lot in my community about detachment to the outcome and kind of being detached from the monetary piece of the business. And I thought the money piece would be really stressful. And I think that's kind of like one of the things that you hear when people have kids is kind of like the money piece gets really stressful. But it hasn't been that way. And it's not because we've been making an exorbitant amount more of money, right? We're kind of right back where we were. It's just that I kind of have, maybe it's this naive trust that like everything always works out. And maybe that's why we bounce back so quickly, because I realize that I have a lot of beliefs that like everything's going to work out. And, you know, I think people have family beliefs as well. I had family members in, you know, my close family with failed businesses, and I saw businesses kind of tear apart relationships. And I think I could go down the route of saying, well, I'm scared to do that because if it happened to them, it could happen to me. But one of my beliefs that I think I inherently hold is just because it happened to somebody else doesn't mean it's going to happen to me. So I think it's really important to understand, you know, what beliefs you have and how those beliefs kind of shape you. And so as we kind of enter into December, which, you know, we'll do a small enrollment, it'll probably just be to our wait list. I don't really feel like opening up again publicly. So if you're watching this and you want to work with us, you should definitely get on the wait list. I'll try to get this video out sooner rather than later. I'll probably only open up for, you know, 3 spots or 1 week, whatever comes first. This is also the nice part about being in control, is I get to really structure and do whatever I want as far as how many clients we bring in. And you can work with us really at the community level. So another big change that I made is we have 1 offer with 2 tiers of proximity, right? You can work at the community level. You can work with me one-on-one. And I'm not quite sure how that'll go into 2026. I've got to kind of feel out, you know, as my daughter gets older and as my wife ends up going back to work eventually, like what I'm really looking to do. If I'm still going to offer, you know, calls one-to-one, or if it'll change a little bit. Haven't really figured that part out yet. But I do foresee myself just getting more and more aggressive, like really protecting my time, right? I think that is something that is going to be huge. So that's kind of the update, y'all. You know, it's been a really fun journey. Being a dad is crazy cool. It is awesome just seeing, you know, your kid grow up like right in front of you. It's great to be able to like pop out of my office and go hold her for even, you know, 10, 15 minutes, or take her for, you know, the time that I'm eating lunch and give my wife a little break. And I'll definitely be sharing more content like this, you know, on the journey of becoming a dad and managing business, because I think it's something that a lot of people maybe struggle with, or maybe just want to hear some people's insights on. So hopefully that's helpful, y'all. I hope you guys have a great rest of 2025, a great holiday season. Hope you finish the year strong. And obviously, if there's anything I can do for you, feel free to ping me over at Ray Gorman DPT on Instagram, and we'll hit y'all soon. We'll chat soon.